Surviving the Applewhites, Chapter 6. Jake sat on the front porch steps of the main house, earphones in his ears, his Walkman radio clipped to his belt, picking at a bit of loose rubber on the sole of his shoe. He hadn't been able to find the sort of station he wanted, so he'd had to settle for the top 100 hits. It was the first time he'd been alone all day. Edie had gone off somewhere, and Lucille had told him he could do whatever he wanted till dinner. She hadn't said when dinner would be, or what. He wondered what sort of food they served where his parents were. Better, he bet. It was just possible if the meals here were anything like lunch. Archie had fixed tofu burgers that Jake had found so completely inedible he'd fed his in bits to that fat old basset hound under the table. The question of whether he would stay or not would be irrelevant. He'd starved to death. He kept replaying in his mind what Edie had said out there in that field full of weeds and bugs, that if he didn't stay here, there was no place to go except juvenile hall. That's what a social worker had told him when she called to talk to him about the Creative Academy. "This is your last chance," she said. But people had been saying stuff like that to him all his life. They hadn't really meant it. Did they this time? Did he dare take the chance? It had been easy to blow off Traybridge Middle School. Everybody, kids, teachers, even the principal, had been scared of the bad kid from the city. Bad kid. Living up to that label was what Jake did best. All during the Jake Semple reign of terror, he hadn't really thought about what would happen next. Now he knew. This was what? Wits End and the Applewhites. But what about after this? Would they really send him to juvie? The other students would be more your type, Edie had said. He thought about the guys at home who'd gone to juvie, the druggies and the ones who'd bragged about the guns they could bring to school if they wanted to. It was one thing to be thought of as the bad kid from the city. It was something else again to be locked up with the real ones. The dog was sitting a few feet away from him, staring at him with mournful, heavy-lidded eyes. Every so often it made a low sort of moaning sound he could hear over the music in his ears. "What do you want?" he asked. "I don't have any more tofu burger if that's what you're after." The dog was as crazy as the rest of them, he thought. No normal carnivore would have gulped down tofu burger the way this one had. "No food, see? Nothing." He held up his empty hands toward it. "Go away." But it didn't go. It sighed a long, shuddery sigh and sank to the floor, its chin on its outstretched front paws still staring at him. It was impossible to ignore the expression on its face, as if it had lost its last friend in the world. Jake patted the dog gingerly on the head. It licked his hand. He rubbed it a little bit behind one ear, and it flopped to its side, and then rolled onto its back, its stubby little legs in the air. He scratched his chest, and it made such a satisfied sound that Jake had to laugh. He closed his eyes then, and after a moment was snoring peacefully, its legs twitching now and again. Jake's stomach rumbled as he thought over his alternatives. He thought of the banner in the schoolroom, the ability to think things through. Applewhites or juvie? Applewhites or juvie? It wasn't hard to think things through this time. The choice was clear. One way or another, he was going to have to make this work. A car went by out on the road, and Jake looked at his watch, a little after 5. This must be what passes for rush hour in the boonies, he sighed. There wasn't anything to do here. He wasn't about to go to the old man's cottage and ask to watch TV. He'd gone to the schoolroom to do a little web surfing, but Cordelia had been doing her math on the computer. He hung around for a while, looking in the book about butterflies to see what kind he'd missed catching in the meadow, just to be near her. But she was so focused on what she was doing that she didn't even seem to know he was there. And he certainly didn't feel like going back to his lavender room. Ugh. Suddenly a white blonde head popped up out of the bushes to his right. Jake was so startled that he jumped and woke the dog, who barked once before turning over and sinking back to sleep. Big, round, blue eyes gazed at him with fierce intensity. He pushed back his headphones. "What do you want?" he asked Destiny. The little boy whispered something he couldn't hear. "What?" Destiny looked around like a spy, scanning for witnesses, and then scrambled up and sat next to Jake, leaning against him to whisper in his ear. "Did you use matches?" He made a gesture like striking a match. "I'm not allowed to have 'em. Not ever. They say I'm too little. Am I too little, you think? I don't think so. I be careful. I used to be little." He held his hand an inch above the porch floor as if to show a tiny person. "When I was this big, I couldn't have matches, but I could have 'em now, don't you think? Don't you think?" the boy asked again. "You're not that much bigger than me, are you? How old are you?" This time he stopped long enough for Jake to answer. 15. Not. I know, 'cause Grandpa said that you're the same as Edie. That means you're only 12. "I'm 13, Jake said. Destiny looked doubtful. "I am." "Well," Destiny said, "did you use matches?" Jake told him he didn't know what he was talking about. It wasn't until Destiny yelped that he realized he'd used the F word. "Mama says only Polly's allowed to say that word. It's not a people word. It's a parrot word. Polly knows lots of parrot words." "It is too a people word," Jake said. "It's not." "Is too. She just thinks you're too little to say it, like you're too little for matches. You aren't, though. I used to say it all the time when I was your age." Jake said it 3 more times. Destiny sat for a moment and then said it too. Slowly, as if he were tasting the sound as he said it. Then he nodded and said it again. "I said it," he giggled, and said it again, "just like Polly." Jake nodded. "Did you burn down your school?" "That's what they say." "With matches?" "Nope, I used a lighter." He pulled his lighter out of his pocket and showed it to the boy. "This one. And gasoline in a bottle. It's called a Molotov cocktail. The school went up like a torch, like a bomb." He was telling the really bad kid story. It wasn't true. But it was no more of an exaggeration, he thought, than the story that everybody else told. Nobody had ever believed that it had all been an accident. Destiny reached for the lighter, and Jake put it back in his pocket. "Oh, no, lighters aren't for kids." "You're a kid," Destiny said. "I'm a teenager," Jake said. As Destiny opened his mouth to answer, the screen door burst open behind them and Randolph Applewhite came out onto the porch, a portable CD player in one hand and a briefcase in the other. Cordelia, wearing an orange skirt over her purple leotard, was right behind him. "That show is dead boring," she was saying. Randolph stopped, and Cordelia collided with the CD player as he swung around to answer her. "It's the most saccharine, sentimental piece of tripe the two of them ever wrote. But it happens to be what the Treybridge Little Theater has hired me to direct. It's the sign of a great director to be able to raise the level of the material. I intend to find a way to give the piece a new edge. People won't just be humming when they leave the production. They'll be thinking. It's the opportunity of a lifetime. Are you going to be part of a millennial version of a classic musical, or aren't you?" "Why is this happening so fast? They just called you today. How come auditions are tonight?" There was a moment of silence. When he spoke again, Randolph Applewhite's voice was tight. "They made the mistake of asking one of their board members to direct it. And he's been sent to Japan on some kind of international currency crisis. Can you believe it? They had a banker directing a musical. They're lucky I happen to be between gigs." "But what about my ballet?" "This is a community theater production. For heaven's sake, they only rehearse in the evenings, and there's hardly any dancing in the show. It won't take you any time at all to work out the choreography, and after that I'll only need you from 7 to 10 p.m. You'll have all day, every day to work on your ballet." He paused for a moment, frowning. What ballet? Cordelia stomped her foot. Mine! Where have you been? You never listen to anybody. It's my whole fall semester project, The Death of Ophelia. I'm composing, playing, choreographing, dancing, everything. Well, you'll need dancers. Do the show for me and you'll have a ready-made corps de ballet. People you've already worked with. I'm the dancer. It's a one-woman ballet. Randolph stepped over Winston and strode down the steps past Jake and Destiny as if they weren't there. Jake had to duck to avoid being clipped in the head by the briefcase. Just decide, Cordelia, and be quick about it. I need someone at tonight's audition to see whether these people can dance at all. If you aren't going to do it, I'll find someone who understands the importance of this opportunity. Oh, sure. You'll find someone by tonight. One of the many choreographers in Treybridge. He checked his watch. We begin at 7, so I'll need you at the theater by 6:30. You could take Father's car or Archie's truck. I'm having dinner first with the Montrose woman, the president of the board, to discuss the budget. Budget? Cordelia let go of the screen door and it crashed shut behind her. I'd get paid? I told you this is a community theater. Only the director gets paid, Randolph said as he put his briefcase and CD player into the back seat of the red Miata convertible parked in the drive. Cordelia was left standing on the porch as the car sped down the driveway, spraying gravel on the curve around the line of bushes and trees. She looked down at Jake and Destiny then, as if noticing them for the first time. She stepped over Winston and sat down on the edge of the porch, her ballet slipper-clad feet on the step next to Jake. She put her elbows on her knees and her chin in her hands. How does he think he's going to get an edge into the sound of music? Jake was very much aware of how close she was sitting. Sound of music. He had seen the movie once on television, but he didn't remember much about it. He remembered Julie Andrews singing in a meadow on top of a mountain. Lots of singing. And a bunch of little kids. Destiny poked him in the ribs. How'd you get your hair that color? And how do you make it stand up and points that way? I never saw anybody with hair that... Cordelia reached across in front of Jake and rapped her little brother on the head. Don't be rude, she said. Ow! I'm not rude. Mama says if you want to know something, you have to ask, so I asked. I don't see why it's rude just to... I dyed it red, Jake said. Bleached it first so it looked like yours, then dyed it. But it grows in points all by itself. I can't help it. I just can't make it do anything else. Cordelia laughed. Destiny stuck out his lower lip. Does not. Nobody's hair grows like that. Before Jake could think of an answer, there was a squeal of tires from the road. The Miata careened back around the line of trees, scattering gravel in all directions. It skidded to a stop in front of the porch, and Randolph leaped out, leaving the engine running and the door open, and stormed up the front steps, forcing both Cordelia and the dog to scramble out of his way. He slammed through the screen door and was back out in less than a minute, holding a CD box over his head. Forgot the music, he said as he pounded back to the car, got in, and slammed the door. Meanwhile, Jake had heard the sound of another vehicle out on the road, slowing down and changing gears as it reached the driveway to Wits End. Randolph threw his car into reverse and backed around in front of the trees. Then he sped forward around the curve. Jake braced himself for the inevitable. There was a squeal of brakes, the sound of vehicles skidding on gravel, and then the sickening crash. The crash was followed by a stream of curses. I told you that word was people talk, Jake said to Destiny. Sounds as if there are survivors, Cordelia said.